We're at the annual Israeli Business Conference hosted by the Globes financial newspaper, where over 2,000 business professionals from Israel get to discuss issues important to the business community here and abroad. CNN's Richard Quest was back as the star interviewer for all the guests from abroad, as he already feels very comfortable with his knowledge about the Israeli economy.
Israel is one of those economies that is consistently in the news for reasons because of its unique attributes. An intervention, a central banker that intervened in the foreign exchange markets. That's few and far between. A housing bubble against all of that. The startup nation mentality. The largest number of public companies on the stock market per capita, beating the United States. So for all these individual reasons, Israel is going to garner attention.
Entrepreneur Galia Albin's late husband created the Globe's financial newspaper 30 years ago, as she claims he would have been very proud of this conference.
This is a very emotional thing because Globes was founded by my late husband, Michael Albin. Not everybody knows it, but he founded Globes. And I think if he would look now and see the young people who are willing so much to learn from the older generation, I think this is what it's all about. Everybody comes here and is so willing to exchange and connect. This is why 2 and 2 make it a lot more.
Professor Alan Dershowitz from the Harvard Law School stood in front of a full house of Israeli students at the conference as he talked to them, amongst others, about the changing economic ties between Israel and the American Jewry.
It's practically home. I come here all the time. I love coming to Israel. I can't imagine a year without a visit to Israel. Israel and the United States, the Jewish community in Israel and the Jewish community in the United States are partners. It's no longer big brother, small brother. We're equal partners. For the first time in history, there are more Jews in Israel than in the United States. American Jewry benefits tremendously from the intellectual capital of what's going on in Israel. Israel's startup economy has helped the United States, so it's a true partnership. It still gives me great pleasure to invest in Israeli bonds and to contribute to some of the important Israeli charities, but I do it in the spirit of partnership.
At a special press conference held by the OECD Secretary General Angel Guerra and the Israeli Finance Minister Yair Lapid, the organization officially handed the Israeli government their annual country study on Israel, which showed that although the Israeli economy is up, the living standards are down.
With the legacy of the global financial crisis still holding back recovery in many countries, Israel's growth rates are the envy of much of the rest of the OECD. Unemployment is at record lows, inflation is under control, and your high-tech sector continues to attract admiration worldwide.
As Mr. Guria said, we're taking the right steps now economically. We don't want to see the collapse of this government should hold the full 4 years, but it should have peace with the Palestinians, should make peace with the Palestinians.
Israel is a leader and Israel is making contributions. And also what we're doing is trying to create networks in which Israel is a member so that Israel can spread its knowledge and spread its technology. This should also, by the way, provide Israel with commercial business opportunities. Because when somebody actually realizes the fact that here is a technology, here is a company that has a particular way of doing things, which is better, more economic, more efficient, then of course they will go for it and they're going to pay for it. So that's what is good for Israel in terms of the image, the reputation of their role in the OECD. It's also good for Israeli business.
The message heard loud and clear by most speakers and attendees alike is that everyone is looking forward to 2014, which is expected to be a breakthrough year for Israel. For Jane 1, I'm Ron Jacobson at the Israel Business Conference in Tel Aviv.